All right, welcome in, guys. Farzin Masukian here with you for the Chief Zone podcast. It is a post-game edition, and unfortunately, recapping a Chiefs loss here as the Chiefs fall to the Buffalo Bills 28-21. A really low-scoring second half. And I know when you look at the second half, there are going to be missed opportunities that you can look back on with this one here. I think on both sides, really. I think both sides had chances. I think the Bills had chances to expand their lead, and the Chiefs definitely had opportunities to get back into this one and miss their opportunities. And I know one that'll probably be brought up tonight would be the goal line situation right before halftime. And I think, some of the play calling in the first half, stop me if you've heard this before, the play calling in the first half, that can certainly be up for discussion as well. This was not the Chiefs' high-powered offense that we were so accustomed to seeing, and it didn't help that Patrick Mahomes, for the first time in his career, was below 50% passing in a regular season game. It's the fewest the completion percentage he's had in a game here. The other part of it, and I think this one is a really important talking point, has to be the offensive line, because Jalen Moore struggled in this one. I thought as the game went on, he progressively got worse. Then you had Jawan Taylor, who certainly showed some improvement this year. He was struggling in this one. Wanya Morris came in, not the best option as a backup tackle, but he's a backup for a reason. And we saw shades of last year with Wanya Morris. We saw Kingsley Suamataia got hurt. Mike Caliendo came in. I said this during the game, and I'll say it on here right now. This was the first time you truly missed Josh Simmons ever since his exit from the team. And the word is, and I heard Nate Taylor say this on 610, that he's expected to come back after the bye week. So that which, by the way, you're now in bye mode. And following the bye, that is when Simmons is expected to come back. And by the way, if you guys want to call in, the link is in the chat right there. I know there are usually a lot more thoughts after a loss than a win. So the link is right there. Should already be on there. I see a lot of you guys commenting. If we don't get to your comment right now, please chip away. Please keep commenting. We'll get to them as we go on throughout the night here. But we'll have plenty of time. And I know there will be a lot of thoughts here to go over. I think with Kansas City, and not just on the offensive line, listen, I think the passing game certainly was bleak at most, was good at times, but in the second half was really non-existent. Hollywood Brown had those two big catches. So the thing about that is, with Hollywood, and I said this at halftime, the Chiefs have the ability to go down the field, make some big plays, and they did. We saw Rashee Rice with that big 29-yard catch and run play on, 4th and 17, the same drive where they scored their only touchdown of the second half to cut the deficit to 7, getting the 2-point also on that drive right there, the touchdown score. Hollywood Brown had that big 40-yard grab right in front of the goal line. So the Chiefs had the ability to slice up their defense, but it was very few and far in between. This Kansas City team showed some inconsistencies in this game, and I think they're better than that, especially with some of the players Buffalo was missing on defense. The thought was this Chiefs team could have continued to do the things it was doing in the last few games where they had been scoring a lot more, especially with Xavier Worthy back and Rashee Rice back as well. We know it's not going to be perfect every single game, but this is one of those games where you could not afford for it to be perfect. And the worst part about it is the Raiders lost. Never thought we'd be saying that. The Raiders lost in overtime. They scored. The Jaguars scored a touchdown. Then the Raiders scored, but the Raiders were going for 2. Remember, that's the new overtime rule, and that's what a lot of teams are doing now. And Geno Smith was arguably one of the worst attempts on a 2-point conversion you could have seen. And so the Raiders lose that game. But listen, you can't ever depend on other teams to pull through for you. You've got to find a way to win your games, and the Chiefs have an opportunity to try to right that ship in their next game when they face the Broncos. But that won't be for a couple of weeks as they are now in the bye week. So Kansas City, right this moment, they are out of the playoff positioning, which, listen, and you heard Jim Nantz say it on the broadcast, saying if that possibility happened, which it did, the season is still, as he said it, miles away from being over. So you still have a lot of time to make up some ground here. But This was not a game you wanted to lose, especially in a kind of a weird day today. I know the Broncos and the Chargers both won today, but they both showed a lot of struggles as well. Denver's offense continues to be very inconsistent. The Chargers, they might be in trouble again with Joe Alt re-aggravating his injury. So what's that offensive line going to look like for the Chargers? And they had a little bit of a difficult time in the first half against the Titans team. So, and then what else did we see? The number one team in the NFL, the team with the best record, the Colts, they dropped in this game, in their game against the Steelers. So, listen, the AFC, I don't know. The Chiefs are not getting the 1 seed. I'll say that right now. That's probably out of reach. They would need a lot of things to go in their direction. And I said this earlier in the week. Right now, you've got to focus on winning the division. I know the Chiefs have gone in back-to-back games on the road in the postseason and found a way to win and advance to the Super Bowl. Is that ideal? Certainly not. But this Chiefs team needs to find a way to win the division. And they're gunning. It's November now. And I think a lot of people say that the playoff race starts to heat up after Thanksgiving. I think November is really when it starts. I don't think it's ever too early to talk about the playoff race. I think now is the right time for that. And by the way, if you guys want to call in, the link is right there. I know you guys are going to have a lot of thoughts. I'll get some of your guys' comments in the chat because I know you guys will have that as well. Instagram, you guys, I know I tend to forget about you sometimes. I don't know if that link is clickable on Instagram, but give it a shot. Hopefully you guys will be able to click that. All you have to do is click on the link, turn on your audio, your video, put in your name, and you'll be on hold, and we'll get you on the podcast here. I know you guys will have a lot of thoughts for this game. I think right now with the Chiefs, going into the bye week with a loss is one of the worst things that can happen because then you go an extra week without a win. And I said this earlier, this is arguably the toughest 3-game stretch of Kansas City season. You have Buffalo, then you've got Denver coming up, who's been very good defensively. And I know there's some concerns, especially with the way they play against a lot of offenses, good or bad. And then you have Indianapolis, who, did they get exposed in today's game? That's what some people think. I don't think you can say that just based off one game. I'm seeing a lot of the Daniel Jones reverting back to his Giants comments. But those are the comments out there. I think if you're Kansas City, this is your time in the bye week, which, first of all, you've got the trade deadline coming up. And I see some comments, people mentioning a trade for Breece Hall, trade for Jermaine Johnson, Calais Campbell. Brett Veach has got a lot to figure out in less than 48 hours. Yeah, I do agree, AJ, on Instagram. This defense they need some help. Look, we all love Chris Jones. I think Chris Jones did a lot of great things for the Chiefs in Super Bowl 54, Super Bowl 58. Chris Jones is not the same defensive lineman he once was. He just has not been, if we're just being completely honest. I know he got penetration on one of those sacks collected by, I think it was Leo Chenal, which was good. And the Chiefs got to Josh Allen 3 times. The Chiefs historically have struggled getting Josh Allen to the ground. They got to him a few times in this one. And listen, the defense was far from perfect, but they got some stops when they needed it. I know James Cook became the first running back in 34 games, playoffs included, to first running back in 34 games to run for 100 yards on Kansas City. But the Chiefs got stops when they needed to. That field goal attempt, forcing them to attempt a long field goal, doinked it. Listen, the defense, yes, a lot of room to improve. But on the road against Josh Allen, I mean, they gave the Chiefs offense opportunities. They held the Bills to 7 points in the second half on the road. Sam McDowell tweeted this right before the end of halftime. The Chiefs have allowed the 5th fewest points in the second half. And this was a road game and one of the more hostile crowds in the NFL. So for Kansas City's defense, which made adjustments, and again, second half was still kind of frustrating. A lot of things could have gone better. But I thought they adjusted. I thought they gave the Chiefs offense opportunities. The Chiefs started with possession in the second half, didn't get a single first down. And I thought the turnover on down the Chiefs had, and I think that was in the first half, not in the second half, The one where Mahomes was throwing it to Rashee Rice, and the play before that, it was to Xavier Worthy, which would not have mattered anyway because Jawan Taylor was lined up illegally. It was declined. Those kinds of plays right there, which didn't end up working, that hurts. Kareem Hunt, and I said this at halftime, the lack of commitment to the run game. Kareem Hunt was averaging almost 7 yards per carry before he got stuffed on the goal line right before halftime. If Kansas City would have committed to Kareem Hunt a little more against a 31st ranked run defense, mind you, I think this could have been a different game. But you can't really dwell on that too much. That turns into a woulda, coulda, shoulda deal, and all you can do is learn from this and move forward. I want to hear from you guys. If you guys want to chime in, we got the link right there for you guys. I want you to call into the show. The link is right there. Let's hear from you guys. Let's go to Trevor. Trevor is hitting leadoff tonight. What's going on, Trevor?
It's going good. How about you?
Could be better, but hey, what you gonna do about it?
Gonna just keep living.
There you go.
This team, yes, we got some struggles, but I've seen this team go 0-5 before without Patrick Mahomes and still make the playoffs. Everybody's got to remember that, though. We would deal with Alex Smith. This team is gonna struggle. We've had some struggles, but you know what? I still think this. Still going to win the division. Still going to go on. I think we'll see the Buffalo Bills again. It's going to be Chiefs, Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game again.
Okay, so Trevor, let me ask you this, because you think the Chiefs are going to win the division right now. As it stands, there's no ties right now in the division. Denver is 7-2, and I know their offense is very inconsistent, but they're still 7-2. Chargers are 6-3. Chiefs are 5-4.
Yep.
You've yet to play the Broncos, so for now it's just a 2-game lead, but you've got to sweep the Broncos this year, and I think that's a tough task.
It is. It's a tough task, but all these games that we've lost, we haven't lost like, we got blown out. It's been tough games. It's been close games. And we've learned it. We looked at it. And you know what? We are going to come back stronger. Now that we have the bye week, we're going to get some people back that deal with injuries. Like, we're going to get Pacheco back. We're going to get our offensive line. Like, they're struggling, dealing with injuries. They're going to have time to come back. And we're going to go up against Denver. The last time Denver beat us, they basically beat up a high school team last time they played against us.
All right. Well, fair enough. I appreciate it, Trevor. Appreciate the Kool-Aid. I saw someone in the comments, Steph said, Trevor, I need your Kool-Aid, please. Yeah, I certainly agree. Listen, he raises a good point. So the Chiefs are 5-4. The 5 wins are by 2 or more possessions. The 4 losses are all 1-score games. We all remember Kansas City. They won all of their 1-score games last year. So that's another thing as well, which kind of leads me to my next point, and I've already brought this up. The Chiefs, there are a lot of things they could have done differently, especially in the first half, and I'm keeping track of the post-game comments. They're starting to come in from Andy Reid. Charles Goldman from A to Z Sports says, head coach Andy Reid doesn't sound pleased with how the first half ended or how the second half started. I certainly don't, I can't imagine why. Says it's his responsibility to make sure those outcomes don't happen. So let's talk about this. The one before halftime with Hollywood Brown. Listen, I don't have, and by the way, if you guys want to call in, please comment below, or if you guys want to comment, get your thoughts on the show. You guys can comment below. You guys can also call into the show, and we have the link right there for you guys. Lines are wide open right now, so feel free to call in. The way it ended the first half, you had a chance to score. Now, Hollywood Brown tried to stretch out, unable to. I have no problems being down right there because you don't want to give Buffalo too much time, and Tony Romo alluded to that. Whether you like Tony Romo or not, he wasn't wrong in this case. And then the Chiefs were unable to get a push. Listen, you have the highest paid offensive line in football. And I get it. Jawan Taylor, he's had his inconsistencies, but he's been playing better lately. Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, you can't find a better center guard combination in the NFL than those two guys. And you've got to get a guaranteed 1 or 2 yards when you're running it behind those two. And even if you don't run it, you've got to find something in the playbook that'll let you get into the end zone. Because I saw it myself. And listen, you got to give credit to Buffalo's defense. They adjusted. I remember there was a 3rd and 1 play where Kareem Hunt got an easy first down. And I tweeted this. Buffalo treated it like it was 3rd and 20. The way their defense was lined up. And you saw them kind of do the opposite. Whenever they were close to the goal line, they were going no huddle offense. And the logic behind it is Kansas City can't substitute. Therefore, they can't get bigger bodies in there for that defensive line to stuff James Cook. That's a pretty damn smart tactic right there. But the way things started in the second half, which Andy Reid and the Chiefs win the coin toss almost every time. The referees flip that coin perfectly for Kansas City to always win the coin toss, it feels like. Surely there's someone out there that keeps track of the record of coin toss wins and losses. And Kansas City, what do? They always defer to the second half. Always. And what do they do in the second half? They did not get a single first down on that opening drive. The purpose of getting the ball is to get the double dip. And the Chiefs, okay, it wasn't a touchdown, but they still got a field goal. They could have started the second half with a touchdown drive. Knowing Andy Reid, he probably would have gone for 2. He could have tied it right there. And it would have been a much different ball game. Now, would Buffalo probably have been more aggressive? Yeah, possibly. But those kinds of things need to be adjusted 100%. If you guys want to call in, the link is right there in the comments. Click on it, turn on your audio, your video, and let's chat it up. Chris is here on the Chiefs Zone podcast. What's up, Chris?
Not much. How you doing?
Good, man. What's on your mind?
Not a whole lot. You know, a lot of things went wrong in this game for sure. There's no question about it. But, you know, I'm still not giving up. I still got faith. I mean, yeah, we've got the bye week. Thank God. But I really think this was an eye-opener for us, and I think we're going to take this as a very good learning experience. And we just cannot make these mistakes against Denver. I've been saying it to a lot of my friends. Denver's been getting lucky. I mean, they got lucky today. They barely beat the Texans with a game-winning field goal. So yeah. if we can go to Denver and play our game, especially if we can get Josh Simmons back by the time we play Denver, I think we'll be okay. But we just, as far as I'm concerned, we can't afford any more losses. I mean, maybe one more loss at best, but we've got to fix some issues. I mean, because so many things that could have went wrong in this game tonight did, unfortunately.
All right, appreciate the call, Chris. Some good thoughts there. Yeah, the Chiefs now at 4 losses. That is concerning. And listen, the Chiefs started 3-4 in 2021. They found a way to win the division. Is that going to happen this year? Maybe. Denver's got a very solid lead right now in the division, so that does make it very tough. They're going to play the Raiders on Thursday night, so they're going to be coming off a mini bye while the Chiefs are going to be coming off a bye. So obviously Thursday night's going to be a film watch for the Chiefs when they play the Raiders. The Josh, listen, I don't know what's going on with Josh Simmons. All we know is it's a family matter. Obviously, it's a very serious family matter because he's gone for a long period of time. I mean, this is his 4th game now he's missed. Again, it's none of our business, and obviously he's got to take care of family first. I just don't know, what the situation is that causes him to be out for this long. And again, family comes first. Your personal life always has to come first before work, football, whatever. You would like to think that whatever the issue is seems to be, on the ending side of it, where he's getting ready to pack up his bags and come back to Kansas City, because right now they need him. I said this earlier. This was the first time where the Chiefs truly missed Josh Simmons. And I don't think Jalen Moore was awful, but he was inconsistent. Same with Juwan Taylor. And I don't know what the near future holds for Josh Simmons, and more specifically, Juwan Taylor and Kingsley Suamataia. Kingsley Suamataia had been playing much better ever since week 3. So to lose him at left guard is not something you want. I know Mike Caliendo was a veteran, got some of those starting reps last year for the Chiefs at left guard when Tooney shifted to left tackle. But boy, Though the lack of availability on offense on the offensive line certainly hurt. The Wadi says, I'm still very confused about the coaching decision. Specifically, I don't understand why Matt Nagy remains in his role. His play calling has been a disaster for the team, and I believe it's affecting Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I think some of it certainly you can blame on play calling, whether you think it's Matt Nagy or Andy Reid calling the plays. I know that's a whole discussion for a lot of people, but the Chiefs, like simple things like when Brashard Smith, they had the screenplay that they wanted to get to him. Patrick Mahomes hits Trey Smith in the head. I mean, Trey Smith obviously does not see it. I think he's trying to adjust. And Trey Smith, being the all-pro veteran that he is, I think he sees Brashard Smith right in front of him. How can you miss him? He's right there next to you, and you're trying to move out of the way because you know that play needs to develop. You know that ball is already coming. Unfortunately, Mahomes already threw it, not realizing that could have turned into a disaster right there. That could have been a giveaway in that moment. Like things like that. This is my thing with Kansas City. I think offensively, the Chiefs overcomplicate things way too much. Way too much. Yeah, Patrick is talking in the press conference right now, said they've had recapping the first half going into the bye week, first half of the season, to be clear. We had great moments. We've had bad moments. We've got to be more consistent as a team. I've got to be more consistent as a quarterback. It's got to be an uphill battle when we get back, but I think our guys are up to it. Yeah, he's certainly not wrong. You're in a position now where you're a couple of games behind in the division in November. Kay Jackson on YouTube says play calling is too basic. Open that up. That was the rated G version of his comment there. Listen, I do agree that the play calling was suspect. Listen, no one's going to argue that or debate that. But the Chiefs, don't be afraid to run the football. They did it last year, and I understand last year was a whole different story. You had a bunch of guys injured. Rice was injured. Hollywood was out. Pacheco was out. I get all of that. But it would still work for you at times. Seth is saying, where was Rice after that one catch? I mean, he had a few catches in this one here, but I mean, if you're referring to the 4th and 17 reception there, yeah, that was significant. Kansas City did not have like a clear-cut number one dominant player. Yeah, Rice had 4 for 80 yards. And he also had he had the 6 yard on the ground, the 6 yards on the ground. But you would like to get him much more involved than 4 catches. Hollywood Brown had Rashee Rice averaged 20 yards a catch. Hollywood averaged 36.5 yards a catch. So you're capable of destroying a defense, but it was very few and far in between for the Chiefs. And I think that's what Patrick Mahomes is alluding to when he talks about the inconsistencies with this offense. Because when you have Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyquan Thornton, who wasn't targeted until the second to last play of the game, you've got to get much more production. Because my big thought today was Mahomes was going to get a deep pass, a big play touchdown pass to either Tyquan Thornton and Xavier Worthy, and we didn't see either one of them do that. Hollywood almost had one. Worthy was quiet today, 3 for 23, was targeted 7 times. Like your 2 fastest guys on the team, Xavier Worthy and Tyquan Thornton, are hardly being used. Like, how does Andy Reid adjust to that? Because you're about to play a really good Broncos defense coming up. And I know Pat Surtain right now dealing with injuries. He may play against the Chiefs. We don't know yet. But man, it's like, unless I forgot, did Pat Surtain get placed on IR? Yeah, he has been placed on short-term IR, so ignore that. Yeah, he's not going to be available. And I realized they're playing a Texans team that was struggling with C.J. Stroud, and when he got hurt, he went out of the games. David Mills came in, and they didn't play the greatest offense, but Denver's defense has been pretty damn good all season. Kansas City has to find a way to improve from this game. 21 points, it's not terrible, but you've got to score more than that, especially when you're on the road playing Buffalo. And the Chiefs, the big problem here is their inconsistency. Look, I know a lot of people have been attached to Tyquan Thornton with the way he started things off here. He just vanished. Like, forget about what Tyquan did the first few weeks. We know what he's capable of. You're Andy Reid. You are one of the most creative head coaches in NFL history. Find a way to get him more involved. There's no reason why, with that wide receiver arsenal plus Travis Kelce, who I haven't mentioned him much today, he had 4 catches for 66 yards. There's no reason why you can't get more involvement. And again, I don't know if the offensive line, the lack of help there, if that played a big factor, especially with the struggles before the injuries even started to kick in this game with Kingsley Suamataia and Jawan Taylor. 15 of 34 is not going to get it done. Not going to get it done. Metal P is next here on the Chiefs Zone podcast. What's up, Metal P?
I'm here.
Yeah.
You can hear me, all right?
Yeah, I got you. What's up, man?
Okay. Well, just a couple things. Mainly the run game and the passing. I've noticed on the passing game, there was a lot of plays where Mahomes looked lost. He was like holding on the ball for 5 or 6 seconds, and some of the people at Uncle George were saying that he's looking mostly to Rice and hardly ever looking to Travis Kelce, including that drive at the end of the second quarter. Kelce was wide open in the end zone, and he just threw it away.
Yeah.
And secondly, they ran Rashard Smith, Kareem Hunt, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And all 3 of them each had at least 2 run plays where they went straight up the middle and got nothing out of it. And I'm like, why do they keep running up the middle? I mean, that's like Christian Okoye type playing, and it worked for him for 3 seasons, and then the moment Steve Atwater knocked him on his back, then all of a sudden defenders are no longer afraid of him, and his career was over. So what's that all about?
Yeah, no, that's a valid point there. I mean, I can't really give much. I said this earlier. The offensive line is the highest paid offensive line in football collectively, and they're not getting much of a push in the run game. That's one of the bigger frustrations. That's tough to say. And listen, I will say this. Part of it is, and I think Andy Reid's thought process was they don't have Ed Oliver. They didn't have Shaq Thompson either. So that was a great opportunity for you to maybe run up the middle. Because I did see at times they got some. I disagree with you a little bit. There were a couple of times. I remember Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He had a 7-yard run right up the middle. That was the second and last carry he had in this game. There were some runs the Chiefs had up the middle where you got 4, 5, 6 yards. In this one, it's just the Chiefs did not commit to it too much.
But yeah, I mean, they need to do some restructuring somewhat with this bye week, because if they have any more repeat performances like tonight, then I'm concerned that if they're even going to get a wild card spot at this point, even though there's still 7 weeks to go, but now's the time to make the necessary changes because they now have 4 losses on the season.
Yeah, I hear you. Appreciate you, Metal P. And if you guys want to call in, please do so. The link is right there for you guys to call in. Click on the link, turn on your audio, your video, put in your name, and get right in here. Yeah, I mean, listen, 4 losses on the season at this point, certainly not ideal and certainly was not expected. The Chiefs always have a tough schedule, but they always find a way to around these difficult games here. Again, would a trade for Breece Hall work? Let me ask this. For those of you in the chat right now, and Bob and Daniel, I see you guys are on hold, and I know we'll get more guys on here. I'll get to you guys shortly. I've got a question for you guys. Would a trade for Breece Hall be something that would make a difference? Because Pacheco, he's not the same running back he was since his injury last year. Pacheco was great, I thought, in 2022 and 2023, but he just hasn't been the same running back since that injury he suffered in week 2 against the Bengals. Kareem Hunt, he's not the same running back he was. He's in his 30s. He's great for short yardage situations. I know today, not as consistent, but hey, they still found a way to get him in there on 4th and short or 4th and goal from the 1 or 2, wherever it was exactly. And they got that score. A lot of you guys are saying no. I'm a little surprised by that. I'm not saying that would solve everything, but I don't know. I feel like you need a younger and fresher body, someone that'd be better for this system. Because I don't know if Patrick Mahomes can do that. They need to trade away Jawan Taylor. That's not happening. Not with that big fat contract. That is not happening. Mario has a good comment here, and I think Metal P was alluding to this a little bit. Mario says we need more quick slants, yards after the catch. Yeah, that is something Rashee Rice excels in, and we didn't get that in this game. And it's kind of hard to tell from the game broadcast, and I'll have a chance to rewatch the game tomorrow, and especially with the All-22 when that comes out. I'd be very curious to know if the Buffalo Bills took that away. Defenses should be focusing on taking that away, because if you do that, you'll take away a big part of the playbook dedicated into getting to Rashee Rice. So maybe that was part of it. Eric says a trade for Hall would be a waste due to the lack of commitment to the run game. Well, I mean, that is something I've been talking about all day today. So perhaps you might be right there. I don't know. I feel like the Chiefs have got to do something, and they have less than 48 hours to figure that out. Trade deadline is Tuesday at 3 p.m. Central Time, and it's going to be a very interesting 2 days for Kansas City. Brett Veach has a lot to figure out. Bob is here on the Chiefs Zone podcast. What's going on, Bob? Bob, you are muted. Can you unmute yourself? And he's gone, as Denny Matthews would say. Bob, we'll get back to you. Let's go. Oh, let's try one more time. Bob, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Oh, there you go. We got you now. What's going on, Bob?
Okay. Oh man, disappointing loss here. Even the game was at 15 points. I thought we was down. I just think that this game, both lines sucked. I mean, we didn't really get no pressure on the defensive side. We chased him out of the pocket a couple times. We didn't have no answer for Allen again. He done pretty much what he wanted to when he wanted to, and they finally gave up 100 yards on the ground to a great runner. That they had tight ends is all they had, man. I don't understand how you get beat by a handful of fucking tight ends. It's such bullshit. And they've got to either shit or get off the pot here and answer some fucking problems that they got, man. They got a running problem. They don't commit to the run game, because when you do, that opens up the the passing game. And I mean, you've seen it in the first half there when we went down on that one drive. They was doing pretty much pass it wherever they wanted to, and they had kind of pretty good mix, run versus pass. And I just don't think that they want to have these fast fucking receivers out there and not do anything with them. And how do they all get so fucking bunched up in one area all the fucking time? I mean, I'm just so frustrated with the way they're running this club, man. I mean, they got talent running out their ass, and and Clyde, what the fuck was they doing with Clyde? I mean, they're even with all the bullshit, they were still in the ball game. That's what surprised me. I mean, it's just so fucking frustrating.
Bob, listen. The first carry Clyde had, I mean, that was Jawan Taylor just getting completely dominated, and they pointed that out on the broadcast. The second and last run wasn't really too bad. But to get to your thoughts, you mentioned the line of scrimmage, and that's really where football games are won, at the line of scrimmage, in the trenches. Kansas City's defensive line, and I see a couple of comments here, people responding to what you're saying. Michael says Chris Jones taking too much money for what he's doing. He's not contributing like he was 2 years ago, and I 100% agree with that. Chris Jones has not been the same player since he got that contract in the 2024 offseason. And listen, next year he's got a big fat cap hit because he restructured his deal once already. I don't know and I know that's not anything Chiefs fans care about right now, but he's taking up a lot of salary for a guy who's doing very, very little. I think he's only got 1 or 2 sacks on the season. That defensive line needs to be better. It needs to be much better. And they struggled in that today. There's a reason why they brought back Mike Pennell. And listen, I thought he did some good in this game, but you're going to need more than him still.
Absolutely. I'm just frustrated as hell to sit there and watch them. And they have all this talent, man. And whoever's doing the play calling, I mean, they get a little rhythm, and then they want to go way off script here. It looks like, you know.
I agree.
They got no consistency, man. And I don't know how you build off of that. You got to put Patty back there. And another thing that I really was pissed about is how many times Bosa got fucking cheap shots on our quarterback and no calls. I mean, he thumped him behind the head one time, and then he got him out of bounds on one time. I mean, they was taking chip shots at him wherever they could, man. And they didn't protect Patty at all tonight. Both sides, man. So here we go with the offensive line again. They're not protecting him, man. He's not going to hold up in these next 8 ball games, brother. It's going to be a miracle if he does.
I appreciate it, Bob. No, you raised some good points here. And by the way, to correct myself, Kingsley Suamataia did come back into the game. He only missed 1 snap, and I think that 1 snap ended up being the interception that Patrick Mahomes threw to the defense there. Look, the thing about this offensive line, I think Josh Simmons, him coming back will certainly make a difference. Jawaan Taylor, he can be hot and cold sometimes. And with his injury right now, we'll see how serious it is. If it's anything too bad, assuming Simmons returns, you can always move Jalen Moore to the right side. I think that, and we saw Jalen Moore, because to start off training camp, Jawaan Taylor was not available for about a week, I want to say. And we saw Jalen Moore play a lot of snaps at right tackle, with the ones, that is. So that is something to keep in mind. And by the way, if you guys want to call in, the link is right there. We'll continue to post that as we go on throughout the night. I know we're not done yet, and I'll get to Daniel shortly. He's been waiting patiently. I just think that that defensive line not getting much of a push there. And they're finding a way to nullify guys like Chris Jones, especially in some of the runs there that you saw from James Cook. They found a way to create that wide lane, and you can't allow that. That's a big reason why the Chiefs had been so good and not allowing a running back to run for 100 yards in 34 games, especially when you look at the Super Bowl against Christian McCaffrey. What did Christian McCaffrey do in Super Bowl 58? Nothing. Did hardly anything as far as, the ground game went. I know he had that touchdown pass on the trick play there, but he was going out there. The Chiefs defense found a way to stuff him. So I think those kinds of things need to come back. And would it help if you get a Calais Campbell from the Arizona Cardinals? Possibly. I'm looking at the Jets defensive line. They've got a couple of key pieces, but I don't know if you're able to get a guy like Quinnen Williams, who's got a big contract. Jermaine Johnson might be much easier to get because he's on a rookie deal. If I'm not mistaken, I think Breece Hall is on a rookie deal. I know some people disagree on whether or not Breece Hall would be even worth bringing in, but those are just some things to consider. Daniel, like I said, he's been waiting very patiently. Appreciate you waiting, Daniel. What's on your mind?
I think we need to trade for a defensive lineman. That's what I think we need to do. I'm thinking we call Tennessee. We have that GM, former GM, assistant GM with Kansas City. What about Jeff? I know he didn't play today, but Jeffrey Simmons is out there. If Tennessee wants to tank, could we possibly try to call up Tennessee, get Jeffrey Simmons? Because I think we need more defensive tackles help than we do running backs. Because I agree, we're a team that passes to open up the run. We do it backwards because for some reason all the other teams seem to run and then pass. I think with our defensive line being maybe a little bit older, to get a little bit more speed and get more younger on that defensive line will probably help hopefully the linebackers or something like that. Because I'm not worried about the offensive line. Once Josh Simmons comes back, or if we have to move, Jalen Moore out to tackle position, I think we'll be just fine. But I think don't need to go trade for running back unless you're going to get somebody like Alvin Kamara, because I don't think Breece Hall's in this offense would work as well, because I think he's pretty much kind of like what we have already. But if they're going away from it, I would go, defensive tackle, see if Jeffrey Simmons is out there.
I will say this, and I looked this up while you were going into that. Jeffrey Simmons signed a 4-year deal worth $94 million. That would be extremely difficult for the Chiefs to figure out. And listen, I don't know what the Titans' interest level is in trying to trade for guys. I mean, they traded for L'Jarius Sneed, hoping that he would make them competitive, and that just has not been the case at all. They obviously have Cam Ward from the number 1 pick in the draft, but they've got a lot of things to figure out outside of that, and they're going through a hiring process for their head coach. I don't know. It's very difficult. The Chiefs would need to do something similar with the DeAndre Hopkins trade last year, where the Titans and the Chiefs agreed to split the deal, which wasn't too bad of a contract. But even then, that would still be very difficult to do. So they don't have a lot of options, unfortunately.
Let me ask you, what would you rather have? Would you rather have a running back over a defensive tackle?
It depends who. It depends. You're like, to straight up answer your question, I think defensive line help would be way better. I'll answer that right now. But we've also got to be realistic here, because in terms of, because I think the Chiefs have $3.5 million of cap space. That ain't much. That is not a lot at all. And you would have to figure out who can you get realistically, feasibly, and how can you make that work into your salary cap system. That's the dilemma the Chiefs have going into the trade deadline.
Okay. And then the second part is, are you concerned with the offense? This is the second game in a row now under 30 points. They scored 28 on Monday night, 21 today.
Not too much. I mean, first of all, the last game was a one-sided game. I know the Chiefs got off to a very slow start, but they played much better in the second half. And Daniel, you know this. Andy Reid is way too nice to run up the score.
Yeah,
He started doing QB kneels before the 2-minute warning against the Raiders. He pulled Patrick Mahomes before the end of the third quarter. So I'm not too concerned about the 30-point threshold that you're giving here, but I'm certainly concerned with the lack of execution and not being able to utilize this offense like it should. That I'm concerned with coming off this loss. That for sure. And you're going to face a very tough Denver team. And I appreciate the call, Daniel. You're going to face a very tough Denver team that's been able to limit a lot of offenses. And one scary thing about the Broncos, as inconsistent as their offense has been, they find a way to light it up in the fourth quarter. And listen, I know they didn't do much offensively in this game. They found a way to come back. They got the touchdown and the 2-point to tie it, and they found a way to win it on that game-winning drive there. And then, of course, against the Eagles, against the Giants, the way they just lit it up in the fourth quarter of those games. That is one scary thing with that Broncos team, and I'm sure we'll get into it more when we break that game down, not this week, but the week after. Michael says Bills defense isn't that great. Unfortunately, the Chiefs get the best from everyone. That is true. Cannot stand when Andy does that, not running up the score. Listen, I don't care about not running up the score. The Chiefs have never been in the business of trying to win games in a pretty fashion. If it's a one-sided game, then it's going to be a one-sided game. By the way, for those commenting on Josh Simmons, what his family situation is, we have no idea. A lot of people keep saying it's his mother. I have no idea. Listen, people think they're like CIA investigators. They go to the family members' Facebook accounts to see what they can get. And I've had people send me things about, which I'm not going to dive into because I have no idea what's confirmed. Someone sent me a status post from a member of Josh Simmons' family. The account did not even have a profile picture. Like, how am I even supposed to believe this? So I don't know what exactly is going on to the point where he's going to be out for 4 games. And obviously he'll have this week considering it's a bye week, but hopefully he's staying in shape. I think my biggest concern when you're out for this long, hopefully he's doing his thing, staying in shape while he's away from the team, because being out away from the team for 4 weeks, physically, that can be a little bit of a concern. I suppose it's easier to deal with that than coming back from an injury, but that is one thing that that I have to ask there, assuming he's back for the next game, which is 2 weeks away. Josh says we'll find a way for their wide receivers to eat Bo Nix to look like Elway. Got a lot of arguing in the comments here. Damn. A lot of people talking about the offensive line. Elena says I would prefer Kareem Hunt over Pacheco. Hunt puts all he has. I do agree with this. I mean, listen, Hunt goes out there refusing to go down. He is one of the tougher running backs to take down. Now, you don't win games by being tough. You got to find a way to push forward and score. And I think, listen, Kareem Hunt's done a lot of that whenever the Chiefs give it a chance, which unfortunately is very few. Carl says, what about the running back from Miami? And I think you're referring to Devon Achane. I'm not opposed to Devon Achane. He's got good speed, and he's on a rookie deal as well. And by the way, Daniel was mentioning Alvin Kamara, and I didn't get a chance to respond to that. Alvin Kamara is on a veteran deal. That's not going to happen unless somehow he's willing to completely redo his deal and play for the Chiefs. That's not happening. Christopher says, bring Andrew Wiley back. No, man. Christopher, I love you, but I disagree with you. The last time Andrew Wiley was on the team, I think he had the second most pressures allowed in the NFL. Number one was his fellow teammate at the time, Orlando Brown, who, by the way, Bengals fans are done with Orlando Brown. I'm old enough to remember when Bengals fans came after me telling me they stole Orlando Brown from the Chiefs. Now they want that guy off the team. I mean, listen, the Bengals have a lot of other issues to figure out, but that's a topic for another time. Daniel says, what if Tony Dungy decided not to go to Super Bowl 41 so we can mourn the loss of his son? Are we going to excuse a potential loss, morale, and physical support from their... Listen, man, I'm not going to speculate on that, and I see a lot of comments on this. Listen, I get it. Like, what Josh Simmons is dealing with right now is none of our business. But I think it's, rational to want to know, is he coming back? Is he coming back in the near future? I mean, the Chiefs invested a first-round draft pick on him. And I'm seeing all kinds of speculation in the last 4 weeks about all of this. Yeah, Nick Bonito does not get talked about enough, in my opinion. Zach Allen, I mean, they've got a lot of really good players. Charlie says should have kept Joe Thuney. With what salary cap, though, Charlie? I wish Joe Thuney was still on the team 100%. Although I do think Kingsley Suamataia is playing much better than he has since week 3. Realistically, there was no way to keep Joe Thuney. So the Chiefs had to trade him and get something out of him. Because I saw before Tyreek Hill's injury, I saw a lot of people saying, oh, the Chiefs should go after Tyreek Hill. It's like, first of all, they'll be fine once Worthy and Rice come back. I know tonight doesn't reflect that. Second of all, how are you going to trade for Tyreek Hill after trading away Joe Thuney for cap purposes? Because Tyreek Hill does not have a cap-friendly contract. Like, the Dolphins are trying to get out of that. TJ says Benito may sack Mahomes 8 times. Boy, that would be something. Yeah, I saw a lot of people talking about Sean Payton, and people felt like the Broncos were dirty in this game. Yeah, I don't know, man. Tim says, what are your thoughts on Drew Tranquill's coverage tonight? It wasn't good. And I think Drew Tranquill has been better than what we saw today. I did see Shannon Sharp say that 23 was being exploited. I don't necessarily agree. I thought he just had a bad game. Kind of like how Mahomes had a bad game, having less than half of his passes being completed. Rodney says we need a 100-yard rusher and a home run hitter. How is Worthy so fast but so slow and can't get open? I don't disagree. We haven't seen a lot of those deep pass touchdown plays that we've been waiting for. We've seen some big plays. Hollywood's had a few of those this year. Tyquan Thornton's had a couple of those. But we haven't seen too many of that. Bob says, I'm sorry for all the F-bombs if I offended anyone. Bob, it's 2025. Who has never heard an F-bomb? Not to get too off topic here, but aren't a lot of kids today, like with video gaming, online streaming, music, they have access to all kinds of things where they hear F-bombs. I mean, I try to avoid it as much as I can. I certainly let a lot of those out when I'm watching the Chiefs and Golden Knights, but we don't need to get into that. Kamara said he would rather retire than leave the Saints. I mean, a lot of people say a lot of things, though, Christian. And then once they finally get to a team, they're like, oh, maybe it's not so bad after all. I mean, Terrell Suggs said he would not play for another team unless it was the Ravens. And then he came to the Chiefs and he was willing to play and won a Super Bowl. So when you hear the possibility of getting a big, fat golden ring on your finger, that can change a lot of things. Let me go to Instagram. I know I haven't been reading a lot of Instagram comments. Judoka says Chiefs O-line is still needs to be fixed against an elite pass rush. They have struggled to give Mahomes. Yeah, I thought the offensive line certainly struggled in the second. They got worse in the second half. David says, if you were the GM and had to make one trade, what is it? Jermaine Johnson from the Jets or Calais Campbell from the Cardinals? What is Calais Campbell's contract like? It's a 1-year deal worth $5.5 million, cap it of $6 million. Okay. You can find a way to make it work if you give the Cardinals a good draft pick. Like if you want to give them a third or a fourth, or maybe a fourth and a seventh, and be willing to split the contract, I think that would work. That might make it more feasible. Let me see. So I'll get back to Facebook and YouTube and X. Crash Tampa says Brett said he was going to make a trade before the deadline. Do you believe him? I mean, I'm sure he's going to try. Listen, Brett Veach has not just sat on his ass and done nothing. He has made mid-season acquisitions many times. Steven Wisniewski, Terrell Suggs, I mentioned a moment ago, Mike Pennell on multiple occasions. Some of them have worked, some of them have not. Le'Veon Bell, I know DeAndre Hopkins statistically did not thrive last year, but when DeAndre Hopkins joined the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes' interception numbers dropped drastically. What are the chances of making the playoffs after tonight's performance? I think they'll still make it. They're out of the playoff picture right now, but as Jim Nantz said on the broadcast, we're miles away from the end of the season. There's still plenty of time. Joey says, what platform do I read from the most? So I'm on StreamYard, which shows the Facebook, YouTube, and X comments. For some reason, it doesn't include the Instagram. I'll get better about the Instagram comments. Bear with me. I'll get better about it. Kimber says we need to get our stuff together. Patrick is incredible, but the support from him is not good. I just think the offensive line, if that can be better with Josh Simmons coming back, I think that'll make a difference. And Jalen Moore, if Juwan Taylor is not available, shift more from left to right. I think you'll have I think you'll do much better. Listen, again, I know we don't want to focus on this too much right now, but I do think the general manager and the scouts, the scouting department, this is their job. I guarantee you they're looking at potential free agents as well as incoming college players. They need a running game to create a balance with the offense. The passing game is great, but you've got an aging Kareem Hunt who's great. He excels in short yardage situations and will sometimes get a push for you, but you're not getting much else from him. Brashard Smith, we've yet to see him show off that speed on the field in a big manner. Isaiah Pacheco is not the same guy he once was. Elijah Mitchell is not being used. Clyde Edwards-Helaire has not lived up to the expectations we thought he would be. He had some flashes his rookie year, but that was it. Yeah, Joe Alt did get hurt, and that does make things interesting with the Chargers moving forward. TJ says, what are we doing with Worthy? Since Rice got back, he seems to be an afterthought. And by the way, if you guys want to chime in, right now, phone lines are wide open, so you guys can call in. I just commented with the link, so call in. Let me know your thoughts. We'll get some more calls out of here if we get any more. TJ says, what are we doing with Worthy? Since Rice got back, he seems to be an afterthought. We're using a first-round talent like we did with Hardman. I get what you're saying. I think people need to remember, like, if you're playing fantasy football or you're doing a parlay on DraftKings, you're not gonna get a lot of things to go your way because the Chiefs just don't have enough football to distribute. And I think today could have been better for sure. Worthy has been quiet since his return. I mean, I thought he did some good things in the Ravens game. He had 100 total yards of offense in the Ravens game. Since then, he hasn't necessarily been too involved with the Chiefs offense. I do agree with that. And again, part of it is the amount of guys you have. I mean, look at Tyquan Thornton. A couple of people have been commenting, where's Jalen Royals? He's there. They're just not using him much. So there's a lot that Kansas City can figure out in the next 2 weeks before their next game. It's just you can't get everyone involved. It's just virtually not possible to do. I know a lot of people don't like that. It's just not a realistic thing. Okay, this is a good question. Why we never run jet sweeps to slow down the rush or jet action? That's a good question. I think a big reason for that is because the Chiefs, they ran a bunch of those in the Tyreek Hill era and a little bit after him, to the point where they've kind of made it obvious at this point. I feel like when was the last time the Chiefs ran a jet sweep? I think it was against the Jaguars. They telegraphed it, made it so obvious they lost a few yards on that play, and we haven't seen them attempt it since then. So I think part of it is trying to not be obvious. Chris Jones on the pass rush, if we plan on winning, we've got to affect the quarterback. We've got to emphasize winning our one-on-ones. We've got to get a one-on-one. We've got to win them. And that's true. And they haven't been doing much of that, unfortunately. And the public eye as players are with the money they make it's just tough to watch not give 100%. I agree with that. Yeah, it was certainly a bad game for Drew Tranquill, and Shannon Sharp pointed that out on his Twitter today. I wouldn't say this was the worst game ever from Mahomes. I mean, the first game that comes to mind is the Tennessee Titans game. That was bad. Last year's Super Bowl, which is the worst time to have a bad game. Teresa says, why don't we use Thornton more? Same reason with Worthy not being utilized as much. There's just not enough footballs to go around. The only time they threw to Thornton in this one was on the second to last play, which was basically a Hail Mary. That was a better pass attempt than the actual Hail Mary. Let's relax a little bit in the chat. No need to fight each other. It's just one loss. Well, listen, I still think the Chiefs will figure it out. It's just, I think the AFC certainly is tougher than I think some people would have thought. I mean, look at the Bills and the Chiefs. Neither one of them are division leaders right now. Chiefs have some ground to make up for sure. No question about it. Thomas says, Jeffrey Simmons and Breece Hall will not save this team. Too many bitches. There's one theory. Been hearing a lot of Max Crosby to the 49ers lately. Too bad we can't afford him. I mean, listen, even if you could, are the Raiders going to trade one of the best and high motor edge rushers to a division rival, especially to a one that's been winning a lot lately? Hell no. Listen, people kept saying the Chiefs should trade for Devontae Adams last year. And like, do people not? That's not happening. That is not happening. Tim says, how about we get Justin Reed back from New Orleans to help the safety room? Justin Reed wanted $23 million a year. You cannot afford that. That's another reason why you let him walk. Cannot afford that contract. Quinnen Williams, Jake says, rather give a first split for Quinnen Williams and extend McDuffie. That is not very... I don't know if that's possible. Quinnen Williams has a pretty big contract, if I'm not mistaken. Because I remember his contract was being compared to what Chris Jones could have gotten a while back. So I don't know. Can we get Travis Hunter? That's not happening. The Jaguars are not going to give up on him this early. Especially after a win today. I just lost a comment. Where was it? From Seth. I lost the comment, but Seth said all the talk shows are going to talk about if the playoffs started today, the Chiefs would be out of it. True. And I think if you're Kansas City, you need to take that to heart because it is November. This is when things start to heat up at this point, in my opinion. The second half of the season is about to start, and you're behind the 8 ball. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not over, but Kansas City needs to play much better. Run the QB sneak. That's not happening. And listen, I don't disagree with you, Rodney. I've been calling for it for a long time, but the problem is Andy Reid will just not ever use it. Ever since the 2019 Broncos game on Thursday Night Football, the Chiefs have not ran one QB sneak. Not one. So what makes you think they would do it now? They'll do it with Noah Gray or maybe Jared Wiley. They're not doing it with Patrick Mahomes. And I know technically that would not be a QB sneak, but you know what I mean. And I know Tony Romo said it on the broadcast too to hurry up and run a QB sneak, but that just was not going to happen. Okay, Greg says we keep bringing back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Listen, he's a practice squad running back. He's not supposed to be your brand new number one running back. Like after today, he's going back to the practice squad. And we'll see if Pacheco's going to be available or if the Chiefs make a move for a running back. But would a fullback help the run game like a Tony Richardson type? I mean, the Bills have a Tony Richardson type of fullback for sure. I know the Chiefs have kind of moved away from the fullback position, so I don't know if that's something Andy Reid would even be willing to do. Perhaps that's something to look into, I would imagine. Kay says, where's the call-in link? We just commented with it a minute ago. Yeah, Juju only had one catch in this one here. Why don't they do a 5-receiver set with all that talent at wide receiver because of all that speed? They've done a little bit of that, not too much, but I'm not opposed to seeing more of that, Carl. I don't disagree. Andy and Spags drew up the most bland game plan to use the real game plan as a surprise in the playoffs. No way this game plan was intentional. I mean, it could have been much better, for sure. Send the link. We've been sending it. It's right there. You just got to. I know some people have been complaining that they can't call in. I mean, I know it's been working for a lot of you guys. So all you've got to do is click on the link, put in your name, turn on your audio, your video, and you'll get in. Glenn says, I'd rather get an O-line guy than a running back, or guys at the running back position are fine. I don't think the Chiefs think that they need offensive line help. Unless Juwan Taylor is out long term, they would still shift more from left to right, and hopefully Simmons returns. Yeah, Noah Gray. So I think it was a play where Mahomes was called for intentional grounding, which I know was tipped, but Noah Gray, I think, was open on that play or the play before. But yeah, we haven't seen a lot of Noah Gray this year. And again, that goes back to my point. There are so many receivers on the team to account for. There aren't enough footballs to go around for everybody. I like the way Joey worded this on Instagram. Need to trade for someone who gives Mahomes the ball more, which would be a defensive lineman who can get our defense off the field instead of running backs who take touches away from Mahomes. I mean, listen, if you have a good run game, that can really help open up the pass game. Although I don't think that's too big of a concern right now. And I think the pass game will get going coming off a loss like this. But no, I do agree. If you can go out there and get some defense to limit opposing offenses, because you certainly could have used that in this game, then you can get off the field sooner and give Mahomes more opportunities. I agree. And listen, I think the Chiefs defense played much better in the second half. Let me ask you guys, do you think the Chiefs defense played better or worse in the second half? Scoreboard wise, yes, obviously much better, but I feel like the Chiefs got more stops in this one. They forced more punts. They forced the Bills to kick a long field goal, which they doinked. And at that point, you did everything possible to give your offense a chance at the end of the game. Not that the end of the game is ever like the only reason as to why you should win or lose. But I thought the defense did enough in the second half. Like, look at the Super Bowl. They allowed a touchdown, and then they allowed a field goal. But then Mahomes threw a pick six. And then on the next play, Mahomes threw an interception, and the defense allowed a touchdown because they were already backed up in their own red zone. I'm not saying that's what happened tonight. My point in bringing that up is with the Chiefs, I feel like their defense in that Super Bowl, they did enough. There are only 10 points you can really only hold against the Chiefs in the first half of that Super Bowl. The Chiefs offense needs to return the favor at times. And I think in this game, the Chiefs offense did not do that. Kansas City's offense had plenty of chances to get back into this game, and they didn't. That's my one big frustration with the Chiefs. A lot of arguing in the comments tonight. Boy, I feel like I'm Dana White, like having to separate all you guys. Come on now. I get it. We're all one big happy family here on the Chiefs Zone podcast, but Robert says trade Chris Jones. That's not happening. No one's taking Chris Jones with that contract, especially with the lack of production that he's had lately. Listen, I think Chris Jones is good. He's certainly getting pressures at times. I know that's not ideal, but I don't think he's as good as his contract that he has is. Yeah. How does Howie pull off so many damn moves? Why do people work with him? Such a greasy snake. I'm sick of hearing about the Eagles' moves every 3 days. I mean, the Chiefs were kind of doing that for a while, but right now they're gradually in salary cap hell, where you can't just keep kicking the can down the road every single time. It can work for a while, but eventually that starts to catch up to you. Kevin says, oh, this is interesting. Kevin says the game with the Donkeys is a must win or the season is over. Oh boy, we're going there. We are going there, aren't we? Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to seeing more of Jeffrey Bossa, Tim. It's just, I know he's got a very high PFF grade, and I know that can mean different things to different people, but that's also based on limited snaps that he's had so far this year. I don't disagree, Jim. I'm sick of the 3-and-outs also. You cannot start a second half down by 8 and have a 3-and-out. I agree with you. In fact, what about the opening possession for the Chiefs? Going through all my tabs here, because that was a 3-and-out too to open up the game, was it not? Yeah, that was a 3-and-out. Yeah, that's never ideal. Those short-lived drives never ever help. And I remember similar in last year's Chiefs-Bills meeting where the Bills weren't scoring in the second half, but neither were the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs had opportunities to get back into that game, and eventually the Bills scored. Both offenses struggled in the second half, kind of like this game. But Buffalo had a big enough lead to where, yeah, Kansas City did score, but they still had a big enough lead to where they didn't need to work as much. That, I think, is one big frustration there. Glenn says, I love Chris Jones, but he needs to be better. I agree. Yeah. All right. No one else is calling in, so I'm going to read a few more comments here, and then we'll sign off. Why is Wanye even around and not replaced by now? Listen, he's a backup, Mars. Like, if he was your number one right tackle, I would agree with this state of mind here, but he's a backup. Backups are backups for a reason. Play calling, yeah, I agree. That needs to be better for sure. Christian says, as a Broncos fan, you can't expect one side to do well and not the other. I mean, that's literally been Denver's issue this year, but they're 7-2. Like, you can make it work. And I do agree with you. I mean, the Chiefs have been inconsistent in that area as well. Listen, I can excuse the first two games to an extent because you were down with Rashee Rice and Worthy had that injury 3 snaps into the season. And Tyquan Thornton, he emerged, and once Worthy came back, the offense started playing better. Rice came back, started playing better. This is, I would argue, the worst offensive performance since week 4, which is when Xavier Worthy returned. And you put up 21 points on the road. I mean, listen, the offensive issues were not awful to the point where it's like, oh my God, who are we going to draft? Like, we're not having that conversation this moment here. This isn't like the Cleveland Browns or the New York Jets who are looking at their draft picks. That's not what position the Chiefs are in. The offensive issues are fixable, 100%. But the play calling's got to be better and the execution needs to be more consistent. One disgruntled family, yep. Rick is certain that Josh Simmons is not coming back. Well, yeah, I've seen some people think that as well. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, Nate Taylor said earlier this month, or last month rather, that he's expected to be back after the bye, right after the bye. So take that for what you will. Yeah, George Karlaftis, we haven't even mentioned his name. He has been fairly quiet since his big contract. I thought he had a good game against Marcus Mariota last week, taking advantage of that rookie right tackle. But yeah, he's been very quiet this year for the most part. I do agree. I know he's got a lot of pressures, but man, you got to start getting sacks. And the Chiefs aren't getting much of those. I know they got 3 today. They didn't feel effective, though, with the exception of the one where they had him on back-to-back plays. The one where Chris Jones got penetration and then Leo Chanel helped finish that play. Like I said, the Chiefs defense got stops in this game. Tony Romo even said it. The Chiefs made adjustments in the second half. Quick slants, yeah. I think Buffalo had those covered, and I'll check the all 22. But boy, they had a lot of the stuff that Kansas City's good with. They shut that down, and if you can shut down those slants, that's going to take away a big part of your playbook dedicated to Rashee Rice. All right, I think we're caught up on the comments here. No one else is calling in, so we're going to go ahead and call it a night here. I appreciate all of you guys calling in, commenting, tuning in to the Chiefs Zone podcast. If you guys tuned in late, this will be archived very shortly, so be on the lookout for that. It'll also be available on Apple and Spotify. If you guys enjoyed this, please give it a like. If you haven't done so already, share it with your friends. Let them know about the Chiefs Zone podcast. Even though the Chiefs are off this week, we will still have some podcasts to bring your way. We will have a podcast tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central Time. We will talk more about this game and kind of discuss the state of the Chiefs going into the bye week. We'll still have a Chiefs Zone Wednesday that will still exist at 7 p.m. Central Time, so be on the lookout for that. We'll still have our Red Friday Q&A live chat this week as well. My name is Farzin Vasugian. Thank you all for joining me for this episode of the Chiefs Zone podcast. I will talk to you all tomorrow night. Take care.